الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. With the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tonight we've completed the 25th juz of the Quran. And there is one point that I would like to emphasize tonight, inshallah, within this short time period. And it relates to the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ speaking about our ummah. And when he speaks about our ummah, he said this ummah is like a body. When one portion of our ummah is in pain, then the whole body will react. And a lot of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ today, we find it to be used in a manner which is in favor of us. We use it in a self-defensive manner. Something which allows us to say, I'm still doing right, without considering what we're really doing, without considering really how we are interacting with our brothers and sisters and the greater society. We use this hadith to say that it is right for us to do certain acts. And many other hadith are used like this nowadays. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this juz that the religion that has been sent down has been the same religion from the time of Musa, from the time of Nuh to Ibrahim, to Musa, to Isa, and to you, O Muhammad. Meaning that the people that has been sent, that has gone through these different prophets, people remain to be the same. People haven't, the characteristics of people haven't changed. Therefore, the same religion is sent over and over. And the messenger is only to emphasize and to remind them of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we see that the prophets, they were successful. Because after the prophet's demise, the religion would continue and continue for a period of time. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it is necessary for another prophet to come. And then the same message was sent again as a reminder until the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But today we see that the message of Islam isn't gaining as much momentum as it should have. We see that the message of Islam in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and hundreds of years afterwards, Islam was in a much better place. So we have to ask ourselves a question. If the people remain the same and the message remains the same, what has changed to cause this message not to spread as far as it should have? So we find actually what happens is that as Muslims, we start to feel comfortable. We as Muslims are changing from what the Prophet ﷺ has preached. When he said that an ummah is like a body, and a portion of the body feels pain, the whole body feels the pain. It doesn't mean that we should react and defend that portion of the body, so to say, in the metaphor. Rather, we should realize the deeper meaning of this, which is that the rest of the body, meaning the rest of the ummah, yani ourselves, we should have such a connection between our Muslim brothers and sisters that when something afflicts them in our heart, immediately and sincerely we feel the pain. And we can't get this unless we work on our connection between our Muslim brothers and sisters. And this is one of the haqq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that is necessary. حقوق الله وحقوق العباد. The rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the rights that we should serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which includes our prayers, our fasting, zakat and all of that. But then there's another portion of it, حقوق العباد. The other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other creation doesn't only limit us to the Muslims, but also to the greater society. So this is something that we have forgotten and we have lacked the focus of. The Prophet ﷺ, within his lifetime, he was an exemplary of fulfilling huquq al-ibad. He was able to interact and connect with people from every level. And this connection with people is the reason why da'wah, the message of Islam, was easily transferred to these people. From the elderly, from the children. The Prophet ﷺ, in a very famous narration, he used to help the elderly people. And you know, in that society, elderly people considered as nothing. They're useless by the time they become old, especially elderly women. But the Prophet ﷺ interacted with them in the necessary way. Why? Because he understands the relationship between him and the elderly person. And there was a narration that says that he helped this lady, and the lady spoke, and he had patience, and he listened. Now this is a lesson for us. The lesson for us, when we do interact with the elderly people, that we should have patience and listen. Listen to what they have to say. Because through their life they have gained wisdom. And the Prophet ﷺ listened and listened as he carried, as he served the lady. He continued to listen until a point where, the narration goes on, but until a point where she was speaking about the Prophet ﷺ in a negative manner, because she didn't know he himself was the Prophet ﷺ. Until she asked, what is your noble name? What is your father's noble name? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ana Muhammad ibn Abdullah. And then she said, you're the one that I've been bad-mouthing? And from that, she understood the respect that this must be a prophet, this must be the person with the best of characteristics. Because he fulfilled the rights of being a younger person compared to the elderly. And then she accepted Islam. And he interacted with the children in the best of manners. He used to play around. One of the companions, he used to have a pet bird. And one day the pet bird, it died. So understandably, when your pet dies, the little boy was in a bit of a grief. And he made the time to go out and see the companion. At the time he was a child. And he consulted him, he consoled him. And he said, what happened to your bird? And he started asking questions about him. And you know, kids, they love to talk. They love to tell stories, so he listened. And there was another narration of a girl who lost her money. And he stuck with the girl until she found the money, until she got home, until she was safe. Because as a child, you feel that insecurity. And she saw him as someone who was really an elderly figure to her, or someone who was a fatherly figure. And there's many other narrations, him interacting with the orphans. He understood what the position of an orphan is. He contemplated and he knew every aspect of people, what their interaction should be between that particular abid Allah, the particular servant of Allah, and me. How should I interact with this person? And this particular orphan, he was saddened on the day of Eid because the Prophet ﷺ came across and the children were playing and the children had new clothes, and you know how Eid is and everyone's happy. But there was this one little boy sitting in the corner and he was crying to himself, and the Prophet ﷺ came across and asked, how come you're sad on the day of Eid? And he was on his way to the masjid. He said, well, I don't have any parents and I don't have anything to celebrate for. So the Prophet ﷺ, he was so compassionate and understood, he knew exactly. And we couldn't say that we know exactly how they feel, how this particular child feels, unless we try to put ourselves into those shoes, until we build that understanding of other people, until we build that connection. We won't be able to understand. So he took the boy home, and at the time there was Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein, and either one, he asked Fatima radiallahu anha, his daughter, to take some clothes of either Hassan or Hussein and give it to the child. Now the child has something to smile about. He's got new clothes. But did he stop there? He didn't stop there. He took the child, put him on his shoulders, and walked to the masjid with the child on his shoulders. So who will be happier, the kids who's playing around, or see the Amirul Mu'mineen, Nabiullah, and the child being on the shoulders of Nabiullah? And everyone looks at the Prophet ﷺ and sees him as a center of focus. The Prophet ﷺ is elevating this boy. because he understood the difficulty of an orphan. And when he interacted with the Bedouin, and the Bedouins were different type of people compared to the people of Mecca, and he interacted in the way that they would interact. As the narration says that he came across and there was a Bedouin that called out, "Ya Muhammad!" And that was something which was very rude, because people were too shy to even look into the face of the Prophet ﷺ. Out of respect, people were too shy, and this Bedouin calls out his name. And so one of the companions got so upset. He said, "How dare he?" The Prophet ﷺ said, "Leave him." And so he called back, "Oh, so-and-so," and greeted the same way, because he understood the culture, he understood the people. And many different people. He used to mingle with the people of higher class and spoke their language. And he used to rough and tumble with the warriors. And he used to, there's a famous narration again, how he wrestled with the champion, the champion wrestler. And in the time of Uhud, when they had a shura, and there were warriors sitting amongst them, everyone was in the mode of, we want to fight, and the warrior instinct came out of everybody. So was he that calm and passive person? After shura, he got up, he went into his room, his house, he came out armored, said, "Let's go, let's do it." Once the Prophet ﷺ puts on his armor, he doesn't take off until they go to battle. So then he knew exactly every single type of people, how to interact with them. And this is something which we are lacking. It's not enough, dear brothers and sisters, for us to say that as long as I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make dua and fast and this, that I will be safe, inshallah. We have to fulfill the other haqq, the huquq al-ibad, the haqq that we have amongst ourselves, to build love and to build mahabba, to build a warm relationship. That when one of our brothers here, sitting in here, is going through a particular calamity, that everyone will say, "Can we help you in some way?" It must be hard. Your father's going through a tough time in the hospital. Where is he? Can we go visit him? It would be nice for him to have some visitors, So we should ask ourselves, at what level are we in this? This is the message that the Prophet ﷺ was propagating. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Man kana yuridu harth al-akhirati nazid lahu fi harthihi." Whoever who yearns or intends the reward of hereafter, then we will increase him in it. وَمَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ حَرْثَ الدُّنْيَا نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا وَمَا لَهُ مِنَ الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ نَصِيبٍ. And whoever who desires the rewards of this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it also. However, if he only desires this world, there will be no portion for him in the hereafter. Meaning what? If a person who doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of the sifat, the characteristic of Ar-Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would pour that mercy upon the person. That is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He would make that person successful. Because in this dunya, this is a world of asbab, of reason, cause and effect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has paved path of success. And it is for us to strive to find those paths of success in this dunya. And also for the akhirah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has paved through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the path of success. And we should strive for both. We should strive for both. So whether you're a mu'min, you're a kafir, or you're an abid, or you're an asi, or you are a worshipper, or you're a sinner, regardless of what religion you are, if you strive in this world, there are ways that you will be successful, and that will be out of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because His rahmah extends to everything, Muslim and non-Muslim. So for us, again, it's not enough for us to say that we only intend this dunya, we only intend this akhirah. We should also intend the dunya as the Prophet ﷺ used what he gained in this dunya for his akhirah. And similarly, we should do that also. And we should not think bad of those who strive for this dunya because we don't know what their intentions are. And we shouldn't think bad of those non-Muslims who strive for this dunya, because they do not know better. And because the non-Muslims strive for this dunya doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. Because that is one of the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon them. So if you see a particular person in success, there's nothing wrong to go and learn from him that trade in order for you to become successful, to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that success. So if a person desires to learn about investment, and all he can do is go to a non-Muslim, non-Islamic university to learn about investing, that he can invest his money to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that is good. And if a person says that I want to study psychology so that I can help people become better, it doesn't mean, and it should not mean, that a person is denying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of curing. It is true that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cures all, but this is one of the pathways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put, the asbab, the reasoning in this world, that He has placed in this world for His cure. So you should say, mashallah, go for it. Be the one who serves in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gains His rahmah, and puts back in to serve the community, to serve Islam. And that is the dua that we make every day. That is the dua that we make every day. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنًا. Or do we leave that out? Do we just say, وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنًا? Only that part. No, we say فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنًا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنًا وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. So, inshallah, we can strive to understand people. Don't think bad of people. Why is it that we always think that because a person acted badly with us, that it is their fault? Perhaps it was the way that I presented myself to the person which caused that reaction. How much do we actually ponder about when someone does something wrong to us? We blame them rather than, what could I have done better? What could I have done better to have served this person? And I'll leave you with the last narration of the Prophet ﷺ, where he was with Abu Bakr in Medina, and there was a Jewish man who came, and the Prophet ﷺ borrowed money from this man, and the due time was not yet up. So there was still a bit of time left until the due time was up. So the Jewish man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he yanked him by the back of the cloak, that it gashed the Prophet ﷺ with a red mark. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? He turned around smiling. He turned smiling. We know how it is when we suddenly and abruptly get hit or harmed, or if we're lying down and our son or our daughter jumps on us, and how we would react, and we get that momentarily, we get upset, or we might even scold them. But the Prophet ﷺ turns around smiling, and the man claims to ask for his wealth, and the Prophet ﷺ said, but the time is not due yet, and he says that he wants it now. So Omar, we know how Omar is. Omar wanted to react. The Prophet ﷺ said, hold on, go and get his money, and extra on top of that, and give the man his money. Give the man that money, not only his, which is not yet due, but also on top of that extra. How much do we put consideration into the actions that we do, and how we react with other people? And how much plan do we do when we meet someone, how we are going to serve that person? Inshallah, Allah give us tawfiq and hidayah, that we are able to serve this community, this ummah, that it becomes like the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wal akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.